out there. Inking my comic today. This is the page I'm working on. First page, it's been a little while since I've been inking a comic. So, don't know if you practice inks of random drawings, but decided today it was about time to do just the comic. Now I'm using a brush pen. I tend to do is use brush pens while I am inking characters, and then I use regular, like I guess regular pens, like prism, like fine liners, to do buildings and stuff. So, not sure how long this will take me, but hopefully my phone has enough juice. The reason I do, I like organic things. So like people, and in this case, my comic has lots of monsters. I like the organic things to sort of have an organic line with the brush. And then I like the buildings and rocks and stuff like that to have less organic lines, so that's why I use the fine liners for that stuff. Also, if you're watching this and you only want to watch part of this, or if you want to see it sped up, I tend to post a time-lapse version of these later on, so maybe tomorrow, or not tomorrow. I'm a little behind on my time-lapses actually, so it sometimes takes a couple weeks to post the time-lapse, but I do it eventually. You can actually watch me time-lapse draw just about all of my comic books. I think I started on something like page 12 of issue 1. So if you go to my, so you're watching this on YouTube, if you just go to my channel, you'll see all of the time-lapses for all of the issues that I've done. Smudge. Look at me. You can tell I'm getting back into the groove of inking because I'm smudging a little. That's okay. That's what white is for. What I've learned with inking is it doesn't have to be perfect on your first pass. That's why I use paper for my hand there, because I am a messy inker. I'll be honest, I don't even know how to not be a messy inker. Most of this is eraser flick when I drew it. Yeah, I'm a messy inker, Jesus. I was like starting with her hair. Her hair is like super easy. Sort of, if you're a little shaky when you're starting, which I often am when I start, and hair is always a good place to, particularly when your character is flying. Kind of have this fun excuse because messy. And it's like, hey, it should be messy. She's flying through the air. So if you want to talk to me about anything, I don't even care what you're talking to me about. Talk to me about art. I don't really know much about politics, so probably not a good subject for me to talk about. I don't watch football, so I didn't see the Super Bowl yesterday. Watched a bit of the Olympics. I can talk about comic books. I know a bit about that. A bit about comics, making comics. Anybody out there watching make comic books too? You want to plug your book? Happy to hear about it. If you plug your book, I will check it out. I'll check out just about anybody's comic books. I like to hear about people's comics. I also do a podcast about comics, which I think everybody, I guess, is doing podcasts nowadays, so that's not that impressive. But I have fun doing it, so I do it. You will notice that I am using paper. People don't really use paper much anymore when they're drawing comics. It's not that I object to it, I just, particularly this series, I started on paper and I want it to stay consistent. I like using paper, but I am not opposed to digital whatsoever. Like I say, I use it a lot myself. I just didn't for this particular comic. So that's the one part that I want to ink in the brush pen. And on the other part, there's a little monster here. A little crab monster. Ink him. So the brush is a lot smaller, so it's going to be a little more challenging. Again, you don't have to get your inking perfect on the first line, I find. You just have to get the idea in there. I wonder if these live streams are better if I just don't talk. People prefer, the hell did I draw there? That's all this legs. Sometimes when I'm inking, I don't even really realize what I've drawn. So that's when I get a pencil out sometimes and just kind of, that's his arm. Body or something like that. It's a leg. It's a leg. It's a big pencil. This is a little crab, or it's a giant crab monster. He's little now because he's in the distance. Eventually he'll get bigger. I always wonder, people like it more when I talk or when I don't. I heard somewhere that background music is a good thing, but do I have to worry about like copyright infringement? I do listen to music most of the time when I'm drawing. The YouTube get mad if I throw on some tunes. Deal with that problem. Quite frankly, I don't really know what to do about it if they don't like it. Must appease the YouTube gods. In this particular issue, Blue Orchid fights two monsters. She fights this giant crab, and spoilers, later on she fights a water monster. Honestly, the crab is not really so the main villain in this particular one. I would say even the main monster is the water monster. That's the one that gives her the most trouble. Crab is just kind of a nuisance. But he's fun. I just find crabs to be kind of creepy looking. Some people think they're delicious, but I'm not a big crab eater. Designing monsters for Blue Orchid is the best and worst part of doing this comic book. I enjoy it, but man, do I have to come up with a lot of monsters. And I have to come up with even more lately because I'm working on another project that is going to involve just making lots of monsters. Got a little cracks in the shell. I think I might do those in a less organic way and use my fine liners. Putting away this is my brush pen. It's a Pentel brush pen. Quite like it. Now I'm going to get, these are my favorites here, the Sharpie pens. I have so many of them. And I'm just gonna do little cracks. I don't know, crab's gonna have this sort of exoskeleton thing. And he's kind of small here, so I don't want to go too much detail. We'll get some closer shots of him later. I will be sure to add lots and lots of detail to this various crabbiness. But for now, just keep them simple. So yeah, I guess I draw the characters first. I never even thought about that. Most of the time I draw the characters first. Next, there's a lot of city in this shot. And I do that on purpose because establishing shot. That's, one of the rules of storytelling is to establish where your characters are immediately. So that's what I'm doing here, and so I'm doing it with these various buildings. Now you might notice I don't use a ruler for inking. I definitely use a ruler for drawing, but I do not use a ruler for inking. That is again to make things look kind of worn down and beat up. I find if you use a ruler to do buildings and such, everything looks not lived in. Whereas if you ink it, if you draw it with rulers, your perspective and everything's okay. But then if you ink it without, it gives you a bit more of an interesting line and a bit more lived in feel to your buildings. DIKI-NAH. I don't know if that's how you say it. Do you draw comics? Or you just say hi, that's fine too. Smoke thing there because it affects the building I'm drawing. So I use this pen. This is a Sharpie pen. I love Sharpie pens so much. They're increasingly harder to find. Fortunately, they're not totally extinct, but I find that places like Office Depot are the only places that still carry them. But I love them for drawing. They're my black pen of choice. I tend to do almost all of my inking with them at first, and then I will go back over with some other, I got a bunch of pigment liners and such. But this is sort of my initial pass will often be with pigment Statler, then I go over it and make it look better. By going over it and making it look better is I add some thick and thin lines to certain areas. So I actually tend to ink the entire thing. Some people ink, they know where they want to put their thick and thin right off the bat. I have an idea where I want to put my thick and thin right off the bat, but I don't tend to do it until I don't make any final choices until I've got a pass at the ink. So I don't do it until I've at least gone over it once with these pig Statler markers. So I go through a lot of these Statler markers because every line just about, you'll see, will be done with a Statler marker at one point, and then I will add to it afterwards. I have lots of them though. I happen to be in a place right now where you can't buy them, so I made sure I had lots. You hear a rumbling, that's an airplane taking off. I live near an airport. During the day you hear airplanes. I kind of like it. You can see them too, which is cool. Flourish on that kind of cool. Just realized I forgot to do something. So I'm gonna stop for a second what I'm doing here. I'm going to get a better Sharpie marker. Sharpie. There we go, catch the one. Realized I forgot to do my border lines. So I do these with the, which I was gonna draw her and then do the border line just so I knew I had them in the right place, but I use a ruler for these. These should be correct. If you notice, she's sticking out a bit, border, which I always do in my comics. I don't know if that's a thing. I feel like it's vaguely inspired from Tex Avery. There's one of my favorite animators. He would often have his characters jump out of the frames and stuff. I do with my good ruler. There it is. I have two metal rulers, so I have a little one and a big one. I don't like to use the big one as much as possible. It messes with me. Do the little clinking sound you hear is me wiping the sides of my ruler off because not ink stays on it, and you can smudge it on your drawing. As we know, I'm the king of smudging. There we go. Put this back where I thought it would. Now back to the inking. This is the part where I get bored. To be honest, this is the part where I normally watch TV, but since I'm streaming, I thought it was like rude to watch TV while I'm streaming. I don't know, people just watch somebody's. People just watch somebody streaming and don't care if they talk or not, or is it annoying if I talk? I need help with the streaming stuff. Let's say do it, stream, show people your drawing. I'm like, okay, and I do it. A few people watch it. I'm happy about that. I don't really care how many people watch it because I'm doing this anyway. It's not like I have something better to do. But I don't quite understand if it's working or not. I feel like an old man. Square. to watch cartoons when I'm drawing. Tend to watch cartoons that I like but don't love too. Because if I watch something I really love, then I stop drawing and start watching too much. So I also, you might not be watching this live, I post these, make them free to view afterwards, and I do a time-lapse version, the exact same stream as well. Those that maybe don't have time to watch me draw for an hour or two. You can just watch my live stream. Watch this entire video in, I don't know, a minute. This is a three-point perspective drawing. I will, again, this is just the beginnings of it. This is my first ink pass. Look at that, I forgot I did that part of the building. That was smart of me. One of the advantages of drawing a comic book has monsters in it that destroy the city all the time is you can draw lots of defects. And that gets back to why I ink not using a ruler. It's because I like it to look a little beaten. When you have the monsters surrounding the city, you can go crazier. Your line quality can equal how you draw. So if you want to have like a crazy broken city, you can. That's okay. One of the challenges I have drawing buildings is just making my buildings look different. Because you can have some generic buildings in the background, but when you have a building up close, you really need to give it personality. It just can look boring. And it's okay to have generic looking buildings, again, in the backgrounds. You certainly don't want to have generic looking buildings close. And you don't want to have generic looking buildings on your first page, because as I talked about a minute ago, this is your establishing shot. So I drew this little sort of box in here to just, I was using it as a rough guide for these events. kind of like it. I'm gonna keep it. Just gonna make it kind of rough. I would love it when I'm streaming, I'm the only one watching. Hear beeping in the background with my bread maker. I'm multitasking today. Baking bread and drawing a comic. Is there anything this man can't do? See, I don't tend to draw that much detail. I just sort of rough a few things in for a lot of my stuff. So sometimes I have a hard time remembering what's a guideline and what's I actually want to ink. Particularly with buildings. Man. It's funny, I don't like drawing buildings, but I find a certain calmness in it. You just kind of chill out. these details into cityscapes. I always curse myself later. Why did you do this? Guess I could just not ink it, but it looks okay, so not ink it, because it works. Yeah, 3-point perspective gets wonky. Love it. Those are crazy. Bit of sunlight coming in. Messing with my light from my camera. That's okay. Look a little weird in the time lapse, but what can you do? So now I decided I have never put a dumpster fire in Blue Orchid, and I realized that's probably kind of a fun thing to do. So this little dumpster fire. From the expression. I'm not unhappy with it. Pretty good for a first page. First pages are always tough because it's been a while since I've been inking pages because I have to pencil these pages and I would have had to do issue 3 and I would have to, this is an indie comic, I do everything myself, so I would have to color and do all the word balloons and everything like that and finish writing this issue. And so what tends to happen with indie comic creators is you tend to have long periods of time where you don't do a portion of the art. Not because you're not doing art or anything else, but because you have to do the other parts. You have to do all the parts. I do this book completely on my own. I mean, I have friends that support me, and my wife supports me and helps me quite a bit. She helps even write some of the stuff, but when it comes to actually doing the book, I got to do everything myself, and so what tends to happen is you just get out of practice from inking, and by the time I get to, I think this one's 20 some odd pages, it's page 1, I will be much more proficient, and maybe even faster. You know, this hasn't taken me that long, but that'll take a while for me to get comfortable. And this is the first time I'm streaming, so I almost always record. My inking, I've been doing that since issue 1. I didn't do all the pages in issue 1, but pretty much about page 12, issue 1 on, I have recorded inking every single page. You can see that on my YouTube channel, which is on now. Jeez. What did I do with the lid? I lose lids every once in a while. Don't know what I did with it. That'll have to sit there until I'm finished. Now, get some more. So I've done my initial pass, and now I'm going to go with a little bit more variation on the line. So I'm going to add some depths to the line. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do an Orchid herself, and I'm going to do the thickest line because I want her to pop right out. And even though I did this with a brush pen, over this with it's a number 12. That's where that lid went. There it is. Found it on the ground. Okay. Generally good about putting them in the back. So it's also, by going over this with a thicker line, try not to lose the thick and thin that the brush gives me, but I thicken it up a little bit. If I need to, I'll go back over with the brush just to keep it that thick and thin. But what it does too is I like to close in my lines a little bit. And that isn't even a work thing, like it doesn't affect me coloring because I color on a separate layer and I just draw in the color. But it just, I like the look of it. So right now I'm literally just tracing the outside of Blue Orchid flying through the air here. So I want her to appear much closer, so I will give her a much darker line. Again, this is a lot about sort of closing up lines and just polishing up a little bit. I have my Sharpie pen at the ready, just in case there's maybe part of it where I'm like, I need to tweak that up a little bit or fix it. I also have my brush pen close by too. I have a smaller brush pen available if I need it. Right here, see, I didn't give her a bit more. Fix that line up a little bit. Sometimes I'm not even really doing anything, but it makes me feel good to think I am. Give those big thick lines. I don't actually add much, but see that right there? Fix that up. Fix that connection up a little bit. There's a bit of a weird little blop there. Fix that up. And you see, here's a good example of the time to use a Sharpie. Stripe up in here. It just doesn't connect the way I want it to. Thin line can do that, and back to the thick. Yeah, the brush stuff, sometimes I'm actually not doing anything. Just sort of tracing over what I've already done, but then there will be areas like this where it's a little too thin for my liking. I want it to be a little thicker. It helps her pop a little bit. I like that. So now, I'm going to go around the crab too, but I'm going to use an 8. So that was a 12 that I was using right there. So this is going to be an 8. A little bit thinner. But again, this is just going to kind of clean up the lines around the crab. I'll be honest, I don't know if this does anything, but it just makes me happy to do it. More mistakes, I can fix them up. Go around the car too. Cars are on the same level as the crab. Carefully. I missed an area there, maybe. See, they didn't close this in very well. Legs. Make this look a little crabbier there. There we go. Ooh, I missed the line. Oh my goodness. Should have told me in the comments. Let me do this. Montoya bed. There's a lot of Montoyas there. Number 3 or 4. And anybody out there who makes comic books, drop your link in the comments, send me a message, whatever you got to tell me about your comics. I need to check them out. Panic attack is my bread maker. And me just thickening up some of the lines to I don't even really know why that's page 1 kind of inked. Wasn't too bad. I guess I will, I mean, I might touch it up a little bit more. I don't know. But what I will actually do is I will, once it dries completely, I'll erase it, all the blue lines out, and then I'll go over it again. Actually, I already see a spot where I want to go over it again. I'm such a hypocrite. This is just another brush pen again, but just a little smaller than the last one I used. Okay, putting it down. Thanks for watching. Hi to everybody, and we'll see you next time.